The ballroom shimmered with golden light. Chandeliers glistened like frozen stars, and every eye turned toward one man, Robert Lancaster, billionaire CEO of Lancaster Holdings. His sharp suit matched his cold, unreadable gaze. But tonight wasn't about business. It was about family, and something far stranger. Beside him stood his son, Michael, 24, quiet, kind-eyed, and still grieving his late mother, Sophia. "Michael," Robert said, his voice deep and commanding. "It's been 3 years since your mother passed. I think it's time we both moved on." Michael froze. Moved on? How could you move on from someone like Sophia, a woman whose laughter filled rooms brighter than any chandelier? Then Robert gestured toward a line of elegantly dressed women. 5 of them. All powerful. All stunning. All rich. "This," Robert said, "is my list." He smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "Each of these women is accomplished, intelligent, wealthy. I want you to choose which one could be our new family's mother." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Even the women looked uncertain, half flattered, half confused. Michael's chest tightened. "Dad, you can't be serious." Robert's eyes hardened. "I built an empire by making hard choices. You'll inherit it someday. You need to learn what matters: alliances, strategy, image. Love comes second." The room went silent. You could almost hear the ticking of the crystal clock on the wall. Each woman stepped forward, one by one. Evelyn, the fashion magnate, spoke first, her perfume sweet and suffocating. "Robert, I could bring style and influence to your name." Emma, a real estate tycoon, added with a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes, "and I could expand it globally." Claire, Natalie, Diana, each made their pitch like it was a business deal. Michael watched them, numb. His father's eyes glinted with approval. To Robert, this was perfect, a merger of hearts for headlines. But then, a sudden noise cut through the silence. A tray clattered to the floor near the buffet table. Everyone turned. A waitress, her uniform slightly wrinkled, her hands trembling, was kneeling to pick up broken glass. Her name tag read Emma. No, wait, Elena. Her eyes met Michael's for just a second. Soft. Apologetic. Real. Something in that look pierced through the noise, through the luxury, through the emptiness. And in that moment, Michael realized, he'd never felt more alive. Robert followed his son's gaze, his jaw tightening. "What are you looking at?" he snapped. Michael's lips parted, voice barely above a whisper. "Someone real." A pause. Then Robert's voice, sharp as glass. "Don't even think about it." The crowd held its breath. Because right there, between 5 rich women and 1 poor waitress, a war had just begun. What would you do if you had to choose between your father's approval and your heart's truth? Later that night, the ballroom lights faded. The laughter, the clinking glasses, the polished smiles, all dissolved into silence. Michael stood alone on the balcony, staring at the city lights below. His father's words still echoed in his head. "You'll learn what matters: alliances, strategy, image. Love comes second." He exhaled sharply. Love comes second? His mother would have disagreed. She always said love was the foundation of everything. A soft voice interrupted his thoughts. "Beautiful view, isn't it?" He turned. It was Elena, the waitress from earlier. She stood in the doorway, holding a tray of empty glasses. Her brown hair was tied back loosely, and her eyes, those same gentle eyes, met his again. Michael managed a small smile. "Yeah, it's beautiful. Just a little too perfect." She tilted her head. "Too perfect." He shrugged. "Sometimes perfection feels fake. Like it's hiding something." Elena looked down, her fingers tightening on the tray. "I know what you mean." For a moment, silence. Only the faint hum of traffic below. Then, softly, he asked, "What's your name?" "Elena." "Michael." "I know," she said with a shy smile. "Everyone knows you." Her words weren't flattering. They carried a kind of quiet sadness, as if being known was a heavy thing. He chuckled. And yet, I feel like I'm invisible in that room. She smiled again, but this time, her gaze drifted toward the ballroom door. Your father didn't seem happy with you. Michael's expression darkened. He never is. She hesitated, then said, he just wants what he thinks is best. Michael turned to face her fully now. And what do you think is best? Her eyes softened. Something real. Something honest. Even if it's small. For a long second, they just looked at each other. Two strangers from different worlds, standing under the same silver moonlight. A breeze lifted the edge of her apron. The scent of her perfume, light, simple, something like jasmine, brushed against him. Then, footsteps. Heavy. Approaching fast. Robert. His voice was sharp, cutting through the night air. Michael. What are you doing out here? Elena froze. Michael stepped forward, shielding her slightly. Just talking. Talking, Robert repeated, his tone dripping with disdain. With a waitress? Elena's cheeks flushed. She lowered her gaze, gripping her tray tighter. Robert's voice grew colder. Go back inside. This isn't the company you should keep. Something inside Michael snapped. Maybe that's the problem, he said, voice steady but low. Maybe I've been keeping the wrong company all along. Robert's jaw clenched. You're acting like a child. Michael met his gaze. Maybe I'm just acting human. For a moment, just one heartbeat, the air between them felt like it could shatter. Robert turned sharply. We'll talk tomorrow, he said through gritted teeth, before storming off. Michael exhaled. Elena's voice trembled. I should go. I don't want to cause trouble. He stopped her. You didn't. He just doesn't understand. Their eyes met one last time before she slipped quietly back inside. Michael leaned on the balcony railing, heart pounding. He didn't know it yet, but this was the night everything began to change. Have you ever met someone who made you question everything you thought you wanted? The next morning, sunlight streamed through the Lancaster mansion's tall windows. The air was still, heavy with unspoken words. Michael sat at the long marble dining table, untouched breakfast before him. Across the table, his father flipped through the morning paper. The sound of rustling pages was the only noise between them. Finally, Robert looked up. About last night. Michael didn't answer. You embarrassed me, Robert continued, setting the paper down. Talking to staff like that, in front of everyone. Michael's voice was calm, but tight. I was being polite. Robert's eyes narrowed. You were being reckless. Do you have any idea how people perceive that? A billionaire's heir chatting up a waitress. Michael's chest burned. Maybe I don't care what they think. Robert leaned forward, tone sharp. You should. Perception is reality in our world. Michael met his father's gaze. Maybe your world, not mine. A pause. Long. Cold. Robert's jaw tensed. You're not ready to lead this company. Not if you can't separate emotion from logic. Michael stood. If logic means living without feeling, then I hope I never am. He walked out before his father could respond. Hours later, he found himself in the cafe across from the Lancaster headquarters. A quiet place, filled with the scent of roasted coffee and cinnamon. And there she was, Elena, wiping down a table, humming softly. When she looked up and saw him, her eyes widened. Michael, what are you doing here? He smiled, a little sheepish. You forgot your bracelet last night. He held out a small silver chain. Her face softened. You kept it. Couldn't let it get lost. Their hands brushed as she took it, and for a moment, everything else faded. She sat down across from him. You really shouldn't be here. If your father finds out. He interrupted, smiling sadly. He already disapproves of everything I do. She laughed quietly. You don't make things easy for yourself, do you? Michael leaned back, studying her. I could ask you the same. Why work there? You don't seem like the type who belongs in that chaos. Her smile faded a little. My mom's sick. Hospital bills don't pay themselves. I needed something steady. The honesty in her voice hit him like a wave. No pretense, no performance, just truth. He reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a small folded sketch. I used to draw, he said softly, before everything became about business. This was my mom's favorite place, the garden behind our old house. Elena unfolded the paper. A rough pencil drawing, but full of warmth. It's beautiful, she whispered. You should draw again. For a moment, Michael almost forgot who he was supposed to be. Then, through the cafe window, he saw a black car parked across the street. A familiar one. His heart dropped. Robert's driver. He looked at Elena, trying to mask his panic. I have to go. Her brow furrowed. Is something wrong? He forced a smile. Nothing. Just, don't mention this to anyone, okay? She nodded slowly, but her eyes said she knew something was wrong. As he stepped out into the street, the car door opened, and Robert himself emerged. Michael. The single word carried all the weight of authority, disappointment, and warning. The street felt suddenly smaller. Robert's eyes flicked toward the cafe window, then back at his son. You're making a mistake. Michael stood tall. Maybe it's the only thing I've ever done right. Robert's expression turned to stone. We'll see about that. The tension hung like thunder before a storm. Would you risk everything, your family, your future, your comfort, for someone who makes you feel alive? The sky was gray the next morning, the kind that warns of storms even before a single drop falls. Michael sat in his father's office, sleek, cold, and vast. Every wall screamed power, marble, glass, and silence. Robert stood by the window, looking down at the city. His reflection stared back at him, stern and unyielding. Michael, he began, his tone deceptively calm. I've given you freedom. I've been patient. But this foolishness with that girl, ends now. Michael didn't flinch. Her name is Elena. Robert turned sharply. I don't care what her name is. She's not one of us. Michael's jaw tightened. What does that even mean? She's kind. She's real. She actually listens. She's after your money. Robert snapped, slamming his palm against the desk. The echo filled the room. You think she cares about you? The Lancaster name attracts parasites. Michael rose from his chair, anger flaring in his chest. You don't know her. Robert's voice dropped to a dangerous whisper. And you don't know the world. Silence. Outside, thunder rolled faintly, as if the sky itself was holding its breath. Robert took a slow breath, regaining composure. You'll end this. Tonight. I'm hosting a private dinner with the 5 women again. You'll attend, you'll choose one, and we'll move on. Michael's voice was quiet but steady. And if I refuse? Robert's eyes hardened. Then I'll make sure Elena never works in this city again. Do you understand me? The words hit like a punch. Michael's stomach twisted. He looked at his father, the man who taught him strength, but never mercy. He left without a word. That night, rain poured hard against the mansion windows. The dinner table gleamed, candles flickering. The 5 women sat, poised and smiling, but Michael barely saw them. His thoughts were somewhere else, somewhere warmer, softer. Elena. He excused himself quietly, stepping out into the rain, ignoring the voices calling after him. By the time he reached the small cafe, he was drenched. The lights inside were dim, the chairs were stacked. Elena was locking up. She turned, and froze. Michael? What are you doing here? He was breathless, rain dripping from his hair. I had to see you. Her brows knit. You'll get in trouble. I already am, he said, stepping closer. My father gave me a choice. Pick one of his 5 women. Or lose you. Her lips parted. Michael. He took her hands, cold and trembling. Tell me what to do. If you tell me to walk away, I will. But if there's even a part of you that feels what I feel, just say it. For a heartbeat, only Rain spoke. Then, softly, she whispered, I don't want you to walk away. And just like that, something broke free inside him. He smiled, relieved, defiant. Then I won't. But through the cafe window, in the reflection of the glass, a black car idled across the street. Robert's car. He'd followed him. And this time, he wasn't coming to talk. Would you stand up to your own family if it meant protecting someone you love? The door to the cafe burst open, rain and wind sweeping in with Robert's fury. Enough! He thundered, his voice echoing through the empty shop. Elena stepped back instinctively. Michael moved in front of her. Dad, please, Michael said, voice strained. Just listen. Robert's glare cut through him. You're throwing away everything. For her? She's not just her. Michael's voice broke, raw. She's the only person who's ever seen me for me. Not for the money, not for the name, for who I really am. Robert's expression flickered, just for a moment, something almost human. But pride quickly smothered it. You sound like your mother, he muttered. She believed in love too. Look where that got her. Alone, miserable, and gone before her time. Michael's breath caught. Don't you dare talk about Mom like that. Thunder crashed outside. Elena's eyes glistened with tears. Robert pointed toward the door. Leave her, Michael. Come home. Or don't bother coming back at all. Silence fell. Heavy. Final. Elena's voice trembled. Michael, maybe he's right. You have a life to live. A future. He turned to her, shaking his head. You are my future. She looked up at him, eyes wide, disbelieving. I don't care about the company. The money. Any of it, Michael said. If I lose everything tonight but keep you, I still win. Robert's face twisted in disbelief. You'd give up billions, for a waitress? Michael took Elena's hand. No. I'd give up billions for love. And then, without hesitation, he led her past him, out the door, into the pouring rain. Robert stood frozen, watching as his son disappeared into the storm. Weeks passed. The press went wild. Lancaster heir walks away from fortune. Robert buried himself in work, but the mansion felt emptier than ever. The silence mocked him. The chair across the dinner table remained untouched. Until one morning, he found an envelope by his office door. No return address. Just his name in careful handwriting. Inside was a photograph. Michael and Elena, smiling in a small apartment kitchen. Flour on their hands. Happiness in their eyes. And a note beneath it. I hope one day you'll understand. Love built your empire once, it can build mine too. Michael. For the first time in years, Robert felt something break inside him. He sank into his chair, the photo trembling in his hands. Outside, sunlight streamed through the windows, soft and golden, the same way it had the day Sophia was alive. He whispered to the empty room, maybe I was wrong. Meanwhile, across town, Michael and Elena opened the doors of a small art cafe, filled with music, laughter, and life. On the wall hung Michael's first drawing, the one of his mother's garden. Underneath it, a plaque read, "In memory of Sophia Lancaster, who taught us that love is the greatest inheritance." The doorbell chimed as customers entered, and for the first time, Michael felt truly free. If you had to choose between a life of luxury and a life of love, what would you choose?